Peace Leute und was geht ab? And welcome to my next video. And today come my spy hole. Lego.
I live in South London in a third floor flat in a 5-story building, 2 floors above, 2 floors below. Being that I live in London, I'm used to seeing people act drunk, crazy or violent, especially at night when the nutters come out. But what I experienced 2 nights ago shook me to this very moment, so I feel I have to write this down in case my situation becomes more weird than it already is. Why did he choose my door? Every evening, after I finished eating, I watch a couple of creepypasta videos online before I go out on the balcony to smoke a cigarette. I come in, lock the door, and put it on the latch. Every time I lock the door, I look through the spy hole. I don't know why, but I always feel the urge to. Every night that I've looked through the spy hole, I see the usual city lights through the rusty balcony railings and the poorly lit car park 2 stories below. I don't ever really expect to see anything interesting. Last night, as I was smoking a cigarette out on the balcony, I heard the voice of a man whispering loudly. So loud it defeated the point of him whispering in the first place. I couldn't tell if it was on the balcony above or the one below, but I heard what he said. This little piggy went to market. It confused me for a second. I thought whoever he was, he must have been talking to someone who was with him, until I heard the voice whisper again from the stairway at the end of the balcony I stood. This little piggy stayed home. If these whispers are aimed at me, I sure as hell don't know why. Post-haste, I put out my cigarette and turned to walk back into my flat. This little piggy had roast beef. I heard being whispered behind me as I stepped into the doorway. The whisper sounded as if it were immediately behind me. It sent a chill through my bones. I slammed the door shut in a nervous rush. I knew I shouldn't have looked through the spy hole. I knew looking would be a bad idea. But I looked anyway. Why did I look? I lined my eye up, close to the spy hole, and tried to focus my vision. But all I could see was black. I could hear someone on the other side, breathing heavily through their nostrils, and what sounded like the grinding of teeth. I was frozen in place, knowing on the other side of that door stood some menacing creep. Staying there, staring out, I tried to breathe quietly, but my adrenaline was flowing as my heartbeat was escalating, and I gasped for a large breath. He heard. The darkness that covered the spy hole receded, and formed a pair of lips that were bloody and torn, and a mouthful of blood-stained teeth that looked like they were chewing on gum. They were not chewing gum. The man had bitten off his own lips and was chewing on them while looking back through the spy hole with an absent-minded glare that only a maniac could give. He knew I was there, on the other side of the door, with his disgusting and mangled mouth. In a calm, almost happy voice he mouthed. This little Ricky had none. Then gave a bloody lipless grin. That was enough for me. I stepped back slowly. I thought about going into the kitchen to phone for the police, but I became so paranoid I didn't want the risk of him looking at me through my kitchen window with those deranged eyes. In my head, I told myself it was a dumb drunk playing some mind game. I crept into my room and crawled into bed, hoping to forget whatever that was I'd just seen. I awoke at 3:27 a.m. to a cold chill. My feet were poking out of the bottom of the blanket. I started to pull my feet under the blanket when something at the end of my bed pinched one of my toes with a wet and icy grip. I scrambled and flailed my arms, climbing out of my bed, heading for the light switch. While I flung myself to the opposite side of the room, I heard the heavy breathing and footsteps of the stranger. His silhouette moved in such an eerie manner. It looked like he was gliding out of the doorway, looking like he was power walking into the hall, out of my flat, and back into the cold night. I turned on the lights. I thought to myself, that freak pinched my goddamn toe. It was that man. He'd gotten into my flat, but I don't know how. He left a collection of discarded cigarette butts at the end of my bed. How long has this damn maniac been watching? watching me.
And this is the finish from the creepy story, and now come the CNN News. Welcome to the CNN News. And now come the US politics. This Lego.
You're talking to the wrong person, because I happen to like tariffs, okay? I mean, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars in tariffs from China. And our steel industry now is an example. We tax dumped steel. Much of it comes from China at 25%. Our steel industry is so vibrant now again. They're building plants all over the United States. It's a beautiful thing. And from a defensive standpoint, and from any standpoint, you need steel. You know, you can do without certain industries. Our country cannot do without steel. So I love tariffs, but I also love them to negotiate. And right now, China is paying us billions of dollars a year in tariffs. And I haven't even started. Now, here's the thing. If we make a deal, they won't have to pay. You know, it'll be a whole different story. They won't be paying that, but we'll have a fair deal. There won't be intellectual property theft. There won't be so many other things that have gone on, and no other president has done this. No other president. We didn't have a deal with China.
And now come the next news from the top news.
This has much to do with global politics. Fishing accounts for a tiny percentage of the UK economy, just 0.12%, but the industry has been at the heart of the Brexit debate over and over again. This is a look, in 3 parts, at how the British fishing industry embodies the hopes, fears, and complexities of the UK leaving the European Union. The story starts at the coast, Portsmouth, England. Matt is one of nearly 12,000 fishermen working in the UK. Taking back control of British fishing waters for fishermen like him was a key promise of the pro-Brexit campaign in 2016. One poll before the referendum showed that 92% of British fishermen supported Brexit.
It wasn't the only reason I voted to leave, but it was one of the main issues. I would class this industry as being the endangered species. Is there anything I can do personally to change it? No. It's all down to the powers of Westminster.
British Eurosceptics have long been angry at having to share their fishing waters with other EU countries. They see it as losing sovereignty over a precious national resource.
You can't blame the European fishermen. At the end of the day, if I had the opportunity and a vessel big enough to go to France and exploit their fishing grounds, which yielded a lot more catch, I would do it.
From the coast, these fish are sold to the UK's fish markets. Fish traders are the beating heart of the British fish industry, getting British fish to markets overseas or at home, and bringing in seafood from abroad. The UK imports 70 to 80% of the fish Brits eat, and exports up to 80% of its catches. Currently, traders like Eric can export fish to the EU without tariffs, but after Brexit, his goods might be taxed at the border.
We export to mainly Spain, France, and we used to do a lot with Italy. If another country wants our fish, and I'm sure they will have to pay the increased charges.
While industries across the UK are nervous about the effects of losing free trade with the EU, Eric shrugs off any concerns.
Brexit is Brexit, and when we're out of it, For me, as a fisherman and fish merchant, I'll be very happy.
This is the end of the line, the kitchen of a fish restaurant. At Cornerstone in London, British fish is always on the menu, but often the hands serving it come from further afield. 75% of waiters and waitresses in the UK hospitality industry come from other EU countries.
All of the staff that we have that work on the front of house are non-British citizens, and they see it as a career. A restaurant manager in France is regarded the same way as like a bank manager. Jobs in the front of house very often by British people are seen as a stopgap.
Under EU rules, a European citizen has the right to live and work in any EU state, and the British government says the millions of Europeans already living in the UK would be allowed to stay post-Brexit. But curtailing immigration into the UK was one of the rallying cries of the pro-Brexit referendum campaign, and that has some restaurant owners nervous.
It's more the uncertainty of it. So, I mean, I probably know as much as the government do about what's going to happen with Brexit, which is nothing. If suddenly we had to help all our staff to pay loads of money for visas, if we had to lose a lot of staff very quickly, it would be a massive hurdle for us to get over as a restaurant.
From the port to the plate, this fishy food chain bears some of Brexit's most important questions.
And this is the finish from the video, and we see us in the next video. So Leute, das war's dann auch schon mit dem Video, und lasst auf jeden Fall Daumen hoch für noch mehr Creepy Stories, und ja, schreibt auf jeden Fall in die Kommentare, welche euch von den allen bis jetzt besser gefallen haben. Und ja, jetzt nochmal einen ganz kurzen Satz noch. So, ich habe mich heute mit der Polizei in Verbindung gesetzt und habe denjenigen auch jetzt direkt gemeldet. Die wissen auf jeden Fall schon Bescheid, und ja, die haben auch gesagt, dass die werden das jetzt auch erstmal im Auge behalten, und sollte noch was hinterherkommen, soll ich auf jeden Fall nochmal kommen, und dann wird direkt die Anzeige gegen ihn geschrieben, weil Namen haben die ja schon, und ja, die wissen auch auf jeden Fall jetzt, wo er wohnt, zumindest den Ort. Und ja, und dann werden anschließend weitere Maßnahmen ergriffen. Und das wollte ich auch noch gesagt haben. Und wir sehen uns auf jeden Fall im nächsten Video. Bis dahin, Peace.